In
of Listmas. Today we'll be doing a tier list for Kirby copy
oh yeah,
abilities.
Alex will be.
This is my list. Haha. Yes, once again.
And Kirby has over 60 copy abilities.
And of course today I will be vibe checking them all. Now this tier's list is a little bit different because there are some there's a spectrum of bad slash underwhelming copy
This one's
abilities.
actually
So this goes well starts at F and ends at S.
yeah.
So it has a longer range.
Than
And
other
plus, there are so many copy abilities, it only felt right to kind of divide them up better.
yeah
Especially because a lot of the abilities tend towards higher tiers.
yeah. But for the bottom,
Oh, we only
let's get
have
started.
two abilities. So let's get started, shall we? First, Light Kirby. You know, I'm sure a lot of you, even if you're like Kirby, big Kirby fans, probably forgot this ability even existed.
It's
It
in.
appears in Adventure and its remake Nightmare in Dreamland, and never again, because it is functionally an ability that gives you no advantage.
Mhm.
You know what it does? It lights up a single dark room in the game, and aim, allowing you to enter or allowing you to spot a hidden door that you can enter for some goodies. Using, I think, that little switch.
But you can. But here's the kicker.
You could still enter the door even if you can't see it. So on repeat playthroughs, you could just remember where the door is and go in it.
It is a useless ability.
It is like genuinely an ability that does nothing of note.
And then there's sleep.
You all know sleep. Now, because like only a handful of abilities got to be in Forgotten Land, I'm not counting upgraded copy abilities because that feels a bit unfair to them.
Because sleep there can like
Sleep there can heal, heals you, and gives you a random buff. But that feels kind of unfair to count that. So, sleep as a whole, just a negative.
it is mainly a joke ability.
You lose the ability to move for several seconds, and the only player input you have is making it end faster.
Yeah.
Which is honestly quite amusing to me. But yeah. It's an ability quite literally designed to be a hindrance. So, and so, of course, it kind of ends up in F tier by its whole virtue.
Yeah. Oh, it is just meant to be a joke ability.
Yeah, literally, sleep pedestals are used as obstacles in some games.
Yeah.
So, with that said, Ed, you move up into E tier.
They're pretty bad.
Pretty bad abilities. I don't like these, and like maybe they have like one niche use for them, or they're just technically not useless, but I hate them.
Yeah. Backdrop.
Like it lets you slam a single enemy backwards to the ground.
Yeah.
I guess if there's one enemy in front of you and one enemy behind you, you can use it to deal with them. But like, why not just use a jumping sword or hammer attack?
Why not just use a fucking jump attack?
Just use a sword. Use sword. Like, or freeze.
Yeah.
Like freeze isn't much better, but it's less. It has slightly more application. When you're outclassed by something like freeze, you know you're bad.
Laser.
It fires a straight shot, and that's it. It can bounce off slopes, which isn't really practical for dealing with enemies, and just solves a couple puzzles here and there.
Yeah, that's it. Kinda sucks.
It just sucks, really. There's maybe, like, I think in, like, Squeak Squad it might be in. or Amazing Mirror. It's used for or a couple puzzles.
Yeah, it's probably Amazing Mirror.
Or isn't like it's just a puzzle ability that's not actually fun to use.
And copy.
This you may wonder how an ability that is literally just what Kirby can do naturally gets into E tier and not F tier. It has one niche in that you can use if you know where the secret planet is in Milky Way Wishes, you can use copy to basically replace your non-functioning copy ability in this mode.
Yeah, that's
And that which can allow you to do semi-sequence break and get at some pedestals early without having to collect previous pedestals.
yeah.
But aside from that one use, it is
sucks.
literally useless in any other mode in the game.
It fucking sucks.
And just yeah,
Cupid.
You can fly very slowly.
You can shoot an arrow.
You can shoot an arrow that immediately arcs downwards and falls to the ground. Out in an unspectacular manner and barely does any damage.
Yeah, this. Well,
I don't know why this ability exists. It is extremely underwhelming in just every capacity. The thing is, this ability could work. Like, if I were to see this ability return, I'd like to see it as an upgrade for Archer.
yeah.
Or hell, if they bring back the idea of ability combinations, they could make it a fusion of Wing and Archer.
Yeah.
Or make it into something way better than it currently is.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, as it stands, Cupid is just a fucking awful ability, and it's not fun to use.
How about Mini?
How
about Mini?
Literally just used to get through. This is another ability designed to be a hindrance, but it's also used to solve certain puzzles where you need to get through small cracks in Amazing Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the only game this ability appears in, for good reason.
Yeah. And the shit, it's so bad, it sounded like an adventure ability.
Yeah. You're bad when you sound like an adventure ability. So yeah, literally only used in like 2 areas to get through small tunnels that normal size Kirby can't. It removes your ability to do anything aside from jump. Up and move left and right. I don't even think you can slide with this ability.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty damn bad.
And then, Balloon.
Balloon.
The new ability from...
The new and exclusive ability to Kirby Canvas Curse. And...
it sucks.
It is just miserable. Like, oh god, I hate this ability. Oh, Jesus.
Well, what is it?
You perpetually float upwards, which can be an advantage, but when you bounce against the line, you speed up, so the momentum can get really quickly out of control. And you tap on Kirby to give him a bigger hitbox, but make him expand fast, not expand faster, but make him go up faster. Or making him harder to control, and this ability is just chaotic and stressful to use.
Yeah.
And it's required for one of the line trials, and possibly the most miserable line trial in the game. So yeah,
this sucks.
I hate this ability.
Terrible. And D tier is...
I mean, they do have some use, but like they're just not. They're either somewhat fun abilities that are super impractical, or abilities that just don't have just have a use but aren't very fun to use.
Yep.
So basically, just abilities that feel like they're lacking in either fun or usefulness.
Alright, Ball.
It's a fun ability to use, but it is near impossible to control, and the spiritual predecessor to Balloon.
Burning and Freeze. Yeah, burning. Yeah, at the same time. At the same time,
This thing,
these two.
these two abilities,
Burning burning is just a just a dash.
just the dash attack,
And freeze is just
must an immediately a hitbox that surrounds you and freezes enemies that approach you.
yeah. This was back when it was back before our superstar.
Merge these two one note abilities into
fire and
ice, respectively.
It's because yeah.
Because that's the thing. They feel like extra moves of other abilities and not something that should be on their own.
Yeah.
I hope if Amazing Mirror gets a remake that they
they refine
they combine
they
use the refined abilities.
Just have the refined ability system.
Yeah.
There's not much to them.
Yeah.
Throw is you inhale
you inhale the enemy and you can throw them in multiple directions.
Nice.
It's technically more useful than regular inhales, and can and all shots automatically have a piercing ability, as well as the ability to destroy blocks.
But
it's just, I don't know. It just feels a bit underwhelming.
Paint.
Now this one is cool as hell, because it's like this fabled hidden ability in Superstar and Superstar Ultra. But it's not really practical. Yeah, it has two effects. Mm-hmm. You can get it in 3 bosses, even though in the fight with Marks, it does nothing. So, against Heavy Lobster, it makes him not be able to target Kirby, so he just attacks and moves at random.
Yeah. And
which can be both a hindrance or a help, well, depending on what he decides to do. And with Chameleon Arm, it makes it so you can see his whole body and not just his eye.
Yeah.
During the fight, so he can't. It's harder for him to sneak attack you.
Yeah, it's a bit dumb.
So it has 2 new abilities and literally does nothing outside of those scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really practical.
Yeah.
Its sole purpose is its sole purpose is as an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Which, as an Easter egg, it is cool as hell. This ability was sort of a semi-playground rumor, or from what I've read.
Metal.
Metal.
You want to be slow? You want
to be slow and cumbersome to control.
But invulnerable to attacks.
No.
No, that's not worth it. That's not worth the worst mobility.
Well, here you have the option to do it anyways.
Yeah, because why not?
Metal is not a fun ability to use.
Mm-hmm. I can see why
it makes you invincible with an asterisk. You can still fall in pits, and mini bosses is completely ignore your metal ability.
Isn't this only in Sweet Squad?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does gain the ability to roll down on slopes and upgraded, but without slopes there, it's still not very fun to control.
Yeah.
And
let's have a.
I don't know what else to say about metal. It's just.
It is Festival Kirby.
I think it's called Festival. It is the new screen nuke ability introduced in Kirby Star Allies. And I think it become. Check the wiki. I genuinely don't remember. I know it has a secondary effect, but it just doesn't have the impact that Crash does. Yeah. It's like charming the first time you see it.
Yeah, Festival Kirby.
What is the what does it do otherwise?
All right, from Kirby.
What I know, it has a special effect if you have a full set of friends with you.
Full attack damage.
Okay, the attack damage scales up, so up if you have more or players with you. who so basically it starts at 180, then goes 200, then 210, then and 220 at max. So oh, max, which literally only matters against bosses, and it's like
Yeah.
the whole gimmick of it is a bit pointless because like why are you bringing this to a boss fight instead of something that can sustain the entire fight?
Mm-hmm.
I've never understood the practicality of bringing single-use abilities to bosses.
Yeah.
It is, which is the only time this is any different. Otherwise, it's just a less impactful crash.
So we have to see here. Here we got a beam.
Beam!
Alex used to be obsessed with this ability.
When I was younger, and I don't really have any strong feelings about it nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it, but
it has decent range.
It has decent range.
And if you use it as projectile, it can shoot projectiles.
I just don't really care about it that much. It's a solid ability. It's just not one of my favorites to use.
Crash.
All right, it's the original single-use ability. It kills all enemies on screen and damages as bosses and mini bosses. I think against specifically low and la, if you're in playing a game with them in it, it finishes the boss fight instantly because they have half the health. They each individually have half the health of a normal boss, and Crash does half a boss's health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, Crash is just it's just a screen nuke ability.
Bring it to low and la offer an instant win. Otherwise, yeah. And I know in Superstar Ultra with the Great Cave Offensive, there is at least one treasure chest that requires you to use Crash to activate a switch behind a wall.
Yeah.
And ignoring that, it's just like
yeah, it's a screen nuke.
Whatever. Yeah, it's a screen nuke. It does what it should.
And then we have high jump.
It is a simple ability, and I think what saves it from D tier is that they did give it a bit more nuance in Return to Dreamland.
Albeit it has a really annoying puzzle.
You know, albeit the puzzle the main puzzle that involves this ability, he is frustrating as hell. So it does lose points.
Yeah,
for that.
getting that one on gear.
Getting that specific gear. You're a nutty noon.
And yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, it does. It was saved from. It was saved by being in there.
It was saved by how it functions as a Return to Dreamland, but like, it's still not a great ability.
Parasol.
Parasol is practical.
Isn't it like really weak?
Its damage output's weak, but it does. But like, yeah, I could excuse it.
You mainly know that from using Parasol Waddle Day.
Yeah, it's like, it's an inoffensive ability, and it does have defensive utility, which I guess just isn't my thing.
Yeah. Then there's a Suplex.
Yeah.
Which actually returned in Star Allies.
I feel like it mainly returned in Star Allies because people love Bugsy.
Yeah.
Bugsy's a cool guy. I understand and why they wanted him to be
that
character.
Yeah, it's
other than that, it's just kind of It's an ability that feels a lot more satisfying to use as Bugsy.
Yeah.
Because like the way Kirby does it doesn't feel like it has as much impact.
Yeah.
Like, just the whole flair of it because it doesn't have much flair to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a decently useful ability. It's sort of like a backdrop, but it's more. It's sort of like a fusion of throw and backdrop.
Yeah.
Up into an ability with more utility.
Yeah.
That rhymed. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then we have a Yo-Yo.
Yo-Yo. I know this is probably a hot take. I just don't really care for Yo-Yo very much. Which again, it's not an ability I dislike. I just never clicked with me. And Whip, another ability I used to absolutely adore. I kind of find it a bit boring.
Yeah, really. Yep, you can grab up stuff with it. And you grab stuff in walls.
It like doesn't just doesn't feel very fun to use, in my opinion.
Dude was literally falling asleep while playing as Wester.
Yeah, I was falling asleep using this ability, so like, yeah, that is to do with that information what you will.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Bell.
Bell Kirby, it's a decent ability. It has a strong defensive application.
Mm-hmm.
And with a good shield. And that aside, yeah, you can throw the bells. They're not very strong. You can do a spam combo thing with it, which isn't really super useful.
Oh, yeah. Then there's B tier.
Yeah.
Actually, with fire and ice.
Yeah, with fire and ice in it, we start out. Both solid, well-rounded abilities. Fire now has the capabilities of burning, and ice now has the capabilities of freeze.
Yeah.
In addition, they have standard abilities, like they have their standard breath attack, and they very much are a duo of abilities.
Yeah.
He's between the two. I think I prefer fire or no ice. Yeah, that's the thing, and they do have their own abilities, unique strengths to them. So, for example, fire has this attack where if you if you input towards yourself, you can engulf yourself in fire and basically have a version of a fully offensive version of the freeze attack. And with ice, you have in midair. You have a spin attack with solid damage, that gets stronger and faster when you're dashing.
Mm-hmm.
And ice also lets you skate along on lava safely as long as you're dashing, and freeze water, or in some cases.
Yeah.
So it is. So they both do have their own utility to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose originally ice was basically a variant of fire.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they're keeping them as sort of a duo in that regard.
Yeah.
Can't have one without the other.
Mike. It's another screen nuke ability.
This one gets the edge because one, the character of it.
Yeah.
It has,
Kirby is such a
bad singer that and it makes people die.
Yes, that is
genuinely basically the explanation behind the ability.
His singing is so awful that it kills people.
So yeah, that is endlessly amusing.
Yeah, you get to use it 3 times.
And you get to use it 3 times. And nowadays, originally it was just screen nukes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the attacks all have different trajectories.
Mm-hmm.
Is with the final one being a proper screen nuke.
Oh.
And which can also be charged to deal more damage, like Crash can nowadays.
Mm. Yeah.
And also, of course, Kirby he does something different and for each stage. Like when he just uses the mic, like then I think it's a megaphone, and then and a stand mic with a full on Rocker's mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
Where he does a death metal scream.
Yes.
And it's just hilarious to me.
Then we have a Needle.
Mainly getting in this tier for being particularly fun to use in Return to Dreamland, and because of its 2 new abilities. Since Wheel isn't in that game, sad. Needle has a dash attack where you turn to a spiky wheel and you'll bowl over the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it also has an attack where you shake the Wii remote and boop, fire out needles in all directions.
Mm-hmm.
and which is fun and satisfying to use, even if it's not super practical.
Mm.
Next is Spark, and I'll cover Plasma at the same time, even if
Since
it's already on the list.
they're
These
kind
are
of
interchangeable now.
Yeah, they are. They really are just
They are
interchangeable.
just purely interchangeable abilities. He's with effectively the same uses.
As I think Spark was originally just the it just the barrier or attack.
But it's more of its own thing now.
Is it now? You can now just run back and forth.
If you run back and forth, you can charge it up, and in Return to Dreamland, if you shake the Wii remote,
you can do it instantly. And in
Star
Allies,
Star Ally. In Star Allies and Return to Dreamland, you can and shake your controller or to charge it up without having to move back. You need to compromise your movements.
You need to move. You need to charge your the static.
Well, basically, it just allows you to run through the level, and if you keep shaking, you keep it charged up, and have a protective barrier to barrel through small enemies.
Yeah.
And it's also extremely broken in Return to Dreamland.
Yeah.
And I love this ability. It just doesn't have the oomph of the higher tier abilities, which is why it's still in B tier.
Stone.
It's useful.
It's mainly for the style, for how it can turn into different things.
Which is a fun feature of it. It's not particularly practical.
I mean, it does have a fist attack in there.
No, it is particular. It is practical. It's just not particularly fun to use.
It's also, you do have a fist attack with it.
Now, at least it appears in the. It mainly shines in the arenas.
Yeah.
As a defensive option.
Mm-hmm.
And next we have Bomb. Got a lot of power behind it. Maybe even worthy of being A tier. It's just you throw bombs and you can drop them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really about it for the ability. It's very simple.
Cook is another one-use ability.
And this one has Kirby. He clap together cooking utensils and gather up all on screen enemies and dead mini bosses and it is into a pot to.
And yeah, it's a healing
pot and for each enemy thrown in, you'll get a healing item. And at least in Star Allies, I don't know if that was the game that introduced it, but the type of food you get depends on the enemy. Like, for example, if you got a bunch of blippers, you get sushi,
mm-hmm.
which I think is funny. And in Star Allies, also, you can have your friends hop into the pot.
Mm-hmm. Boil your friends.
Thankfully, they're not cooked alive here. They just pop out of the pot on alongside an item relevant to that character.
Boil your friends.
Yeah, I think the whole seeing what each character results in and what each enemy or character results in giving you is probably the coolest part of Cook, as well as just being a heal. Combined with a screen nuke, it's just a fun ability. It trades off by not dealing any damage to bosses or unkilled mini bosses.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Jet.
Is Jet. All right, this is an ability that might have been A tier, honestly. Again, a lot of these could be A tier. Like A and B have a lot of interchangeable abilities, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It just depends on how I'm feeling in the moment. And Jet is an ability that lets you charge up and blast forward.
Yeah.
You can also store an attack and use this fucking loop on an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And slam them down. And if you do it to a boss's projectile, you can do an insane amount of damage to them. You also have an explosive jump you can store, and just also replaces your is your normal hover with a jet hover.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just cool. Oh, it's a super cool ability. Yeah. And that's really all I have to say about it.
Mm-hmm. Magic.
Magic specific. This is all the way to the right.
Mm-hmm.
magic. I am specifically referring to and only referring to its appearance in Squeak Squad.
Amazing Mirror was just a one-use ability.
It was a single-use ability that pulled up a roulette and gave a random effect, whether it be a screen nuke, a healing item, or even a one-up. Or giving you a mix to result in another copy ability.
Squeak Squad made it into a proper
fully fledged ability with EE, where you have an attack that fires off birds out of your hat, throws cards, and even has this as a Jack in the Box pop out.
Yeah.
I love how they took an ability like a simple, a single use ability and fleshed it out. It's just that's cool to me. They did that. I'd love to see how they'd expand upon it if this ability were to return nowadays.
Missile.
Another ability from Amazing Mirror. Or this time only appearing in that game and in Canvas Curse. So it would be a cool one to see return.
Missile.
Missile is Missile lets you fly and you can control what direction you go. Now it explodes on contact with a wall or enemy, and it's also pretty slow. I think it could benefit from being faster and stronger upon explosion, and also sometimes you take damage if you don't kill the enemies.
He turns himself into a missile. Funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Next, we have a furry Kirby.
No, Animal Kirby.
Animal Kirby.
He from Squeak Squad. This is one I don't see talked about a lot. It's just a charming ability, even if it's not particularly practical. You have a somewhat inconsistent to execute drill attack after upgrading it.
Mm-hmm.
Your normal pounce is pretty pathetic. You also dig through dirt, and yeah, that's pretty much the ability. It's simple, but I like it.
Yeah.
Same with Bubble. It's a new variant on ice or fire, or that shoots out bubbles. And it specifically works with Squeak Squad's copy palette mechanic, where enemies trapped in bubbles become stars, and or the copy ability they contain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically allows you to store copy abilities.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's a very rare ability.
Mm.
In that game, up there with hammer and metal and rarity.
Then we have a Leaf.
Here for mainly for its defensive utility, like stone. Oh, though it also has a weird spinning leaf attack. And its main projectile is just like woo woo woo.
But you're not really meant to.
Main projectile is not practical. It has a leaf uppercut too.
Yeah.
And its offensive capabilities aren't the worst, but you're mainly using it for the leaf guard.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I think it is a pretty cool ability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Coming next after Leaf is Spear.
Mm-hmm.
You're a weapon ability from Return to Dreamland. And it's a spear.
You can also fly with it.
Yeah, you could jab with it. You could go and use it downwards, and you can use upwards to have a helicopter or move.
Yep.
You can also throw the spears.
And also, this is Bandana his attacks.
Yeah, this is Bandana Waddle Dee's weapon of choice.
Yep.
And was likely made because of his addition to Return to Dreamland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. And next we have Water, another elemental ability. And one that came back from
I think Water was also it was also from Right Back at Ya.
Yeah, Water was scrapped from Return to Dream
from Kirby
from Kirby's GCN outing, and finally made its in series debut in
Return to Dreamland.
Return to Dreamland.
Oh it's you can shoot water.
You can shoot water. And You can use a water jet to soar above your enemies. Slowly. You can dash with the water, and what I think, or have an upwards urge jet of water, or rainbow attack, and you also buff your norm or spit or bubbles or blowing attack underwater, or when this ability is in use.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool and makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Archer.
Archer Kirby. He introduced in Triple Deluxe that his ability, well, lets you shoot arrows. I don't think there's really much else to say about it.
Yeah.
Aside from yeah, shooting arrows is cool.
You're not a clown. You're not just a clown. You're the entire circus.
All right. Archer Kirby also allows you to hide behind a cardboard bush.
Yeah.
Just sort of a semi-guard and do sneak attacks from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's hilarious. So yeah, circus. It's Kirby. He also introduced in Triple Deluxe
Nice
also
stroke.
introduced in Triple Deluxe. It allows you. It basically lets Kirby become a clown.
Yeah. Yes.
And with this ability, he can and blow balloons in the shape of other Kirby characters, or juggle bowling pins that catch on fire, jump through flaming hoops, jump from a trampoline to gain more height. It's just a charming ability with a lot of character to it.
Dr. Kirby.
Okay. Dr. Kirby, he introduced in Planet Robobot. It's a very out there idea for an ability, but I think they pulled it off pretty well.
He attacks with a
Kirby,
the clipboard dash.
Kirby slam a clipboard or to the opponent, or toss osmosis in about. Which I don't think is a very good idea, but
I definitely wouldn't. I would definitely wouldn't. I would definitely wouldn't trust Kirby in a doctor's office.
And what's funny about this is that it seems to be a reference to Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
Oh, mainly because of the pills, when you guess it, can be random combinations of red, blue, and yellow. Oh yeah, almost certainly a Dr. Mario reference. It's there. And he also has a sort of exploding potion attack.
Yeah.
That has different elements. Has a random element.
Yeah.
And can be used to solve puzzles if you roll the right element.
And there's a artist.
Artist Kirby.
They made paint into an actual ability.
Yeah, they took the idea of paint and made it into a fully fledged ability. Yeah, and in my opinion, a really fun one. So this one, sorry. So this one, on main attack, you smack with a paintbrush. You have a dash with it. You can also paint little doodles to run forward and charge your enemies. And paint a fridge to create a food ood. And heal your friends. And in yourself. So, which is cute. And there's also an attack where you create a stone sculpture or can you use that to smack your enemies around. It's just there's some cool little concepts I've thrown to this ability.
Yeah. Then we have a
staff, another Star Allies ability, and this one lets Kirby wield a staff that can extend and retract based on Sun Wukong. Long staff, clearly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You can use the staff like a pogo stick. Extend it to the side or upwards, or just smack your enemy silly with it. Yeah, I mainly use it with the bluster element. And yeah, that's really all to say about it. Next, we get into Drill, one of the two new abilities introduced in Forgotten Land. and it allows you to burrow into the ground and come out drilling. You can also do, I think when it's upgraded, do dash attacks that fire or projectiles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's. You can also, and when you burrow in the ground, if you loop circles around something, you can cause the terrain to effectively collapse and create a powerful attack within in that. That it is a pretty fun ability. It is, though I do prefer the other ability introduced in Star Allies. No, in Forgotten Land, and not Star Allies.
And then we have the one. And then we have the one ability from Dream Buffet.
The one new ability from Dream Buffet, the Shelly ability. This one is well, it's an evasive ability that gives you a bit more speed and allows you to phase through all dangerous obstacles and cracked walls.
Mm-hmm.
Walls which can allow you to gain an advantage as you come across a cookie wall before the opponent.
Yeah.
And while the opponents are wasting time breaking it, you can just slip under it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's funny that they let you do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Then we have A tier.
Woo! Here, A tier. Here are some really good abilities that are among some of my favorites.
All right.
We start with Cutter, or a classic and an ability I always go back to. I just really like tossing boomerangs around and slicing everything.
Mm.
And Final Cutter is, of course, always a very satisfying move to execute.
Yep.
You can charge the cutter and have it bounce around off walls and deal more damage. And it's just a fun ability. Simple concept, great execution.
Hammer is just raw damage.
Hammer is the raw damage ability. And basically, he maintains that reputation with only a few to contest it, such as Bomb and I believe Staff now.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just really powerful, and even if some of its attacks are somewhat slow, which is the drawback of it.
Mm-hmm. And then there's Sword.
Of course, Sword, or probably the most iconic copy ability.
Mm-hmm.
Because who doesn't love seeing a funny little pink guy with a sword?
Also, I think the addition of the green hat.
Being an obvious reference to Link from the Legend of Zelda series.
And also just the look of the sword or two.
A very obvious Zelda reference.
And so now you can do a spin attack and at full health. Oh, shoot it with a laser.
Shoot a laser beam from the sword, and it's just an ability with a lot of different moves and a lot. It was very versatile, and always satisfying to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's basically all there is to say about Sword.
Yeah.
Tornado, an absolute menace of an ability that breaks Return to Dreamland in half.
And it was banished as the fucking...
Banished to the Shadow Realm for the next decade while they waited for Forgotten Land to exist, so it could have an environment it's actually balanced in.
Yeah, Tornado, all the way back in Adventure, all the way back from Adventure.
Earth's ability got a major upgrade and in a bit more control and a shaking attack that shoots wind. That shoots wind, that dissipates its strong winds from where Kirby is when the attack ends.
So let's admit it. You're not using it for that.
You're using it to shred through, to shake and ache and shred through the arena.
Holy fuck! Yeah, this thing is allowed out in the true arena.
Move the pillow, please. And it fucking annihilates it.
It's a really broken ability.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was finally brought back in Forgotten Land. And yeah,
Yeah.
and it's actually more balanced.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So, moving on. Wheel! It's just fun to go fast.
Yeah. What if Kirby had Kirby had the fucking spin dash?
Yeah, basically.
But it went on for as long as
long as you want. You can switch directions, jump around, and basically speed run things. And so whenever I find Wheel, I'm always just like Wheel, and then usually ditch my ability for the sake of going fast.
Yep.
And there are of course throughout the series Wheel challenges where you have to new through the who after hitting a timed switch before or it makes whatever collectible you're chasing after unobtainable. It's just a fun time. Next we have Cleaning, an ability that got an insane glow up when it returned in Star Allies. So this ability, he sees the return of Pitch, Choo Choo, and I think Inknago too.
Yeah.
Who is part of its attacks. Yeah, it does. It sees the return. Yeah, some of its attacks see the return of Nago, Pitch, and Choo Choo, since those didn't make it in as Dream Friends and Star Allies. So, and it's just really cool to see them here. And of course, with their abilities incorporated into the move on its own, and the ability on its own, it makes the whole thing a lot more, it makes the thing a lot more versatile than it was before. Or genuinely a really fun ability, and some awesome fan service is in there too.
Are you sure you're not getting that mixed up with Paint?
No, I'm not. No, I am not.
Okay.
Because as I know for a fact that at Cleaning, it has the attacks for the other animal buddies in it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Artist does not do that. You're the one getting it mixed up.
Yeah.
It summons bosses from Dreamland 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cleaning got it got a map.
It's out of line. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cleaning got a massive upgrade and overhaul. All over
on
Star Allies, and became something super cool and memorable. Now something super cool and memorable for and something and a lot of people probably never got. Ghost from Squeak Squad. For collecting all the ghost medals, you can and unlock a mini boss that spawn grant Kirby the Ghost ability. Now, what does Ghost do? Well, it allows you to take control of lesser enemies and just make them fight for you.
Hey, wait a minute.
It's not super practical, but in most cases, but it's always fun to take control of enemies and just see what you can do with them.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, capturing.
Yeah.
I doubt this was a direct
but
inspiration.
Kind of, it's funny
for the capture mechanic, but yeah, it is funny that it exists like that.
Yeah, it's a funny coincidence.
It's a bit of a funny coincidence.
And then we have ESP.
Yeah, ESP is an ability introduced in Planet Robobot that allow as an Earthbound reference.
Yep. As a reference to NES.
Hell, the enemy, and I just think the execution's really fun. And you have a teleport dash. You can dash a counter, which I love using, even if I suck at executing it. And and your standard attack creates orbs of telekinetic energy that you can use to just aim, just control them around the screen in a similar manner to Flare Beam from Return to Dreamland, but not overpowered. So I think it might have been inspired by that, actually. Next ability is Poison.
It's basically water,
which is basically water,
but
but offensive.
yeah, more offensive water.
It's a more offensive water, or sacrificing some of the mobility advantages that the ability had. And yeah,
How much else?
there's not really much else to say about it. It really is just water, but an offense.
Yeah, then mirror.
And mirror. This should have been earlier in the list, but okay. Now it's here. Here.
That's where you placed it.
Yeah, I don't know why I placed it with Planet Robobot abilities. You returned in Planet Robobot, but yeah,
whatever.
It actually comes from Superstar.
Whatever.
All right. Or you need to edit that later. Okay, so so mirror her this ability it lets you fire off mirror shards, like, well, not shards, but like these weird crystal particle effects. Sort of, I don't know what they really are, but you can also split into copies for certain attacks, and you have a shield that reflects X projectiles and fires them back at the opponents. And which I think was something introduced in Planet Robobot.
Yeah.
For the ability, and it's just a cool ability. There's not much else to say about it. It's both a good defensive and offensive ability.
Yeah. Then we have a Spider Kirby.
Yeah. Spider. So, the Spider was an ability introduced in Star Allies, and it basically allows you to toss webs around and trap enemies in them. When they're trapped in the webs, you just swing them back and forth or toss them around. And it's sort of in the same vein as Suplex. And it's cool that they gave Como an ability after him being in the series since the beginning. And so yeah, just the whole web slinging and feels super satisfying to do, and you can also create web trampolines to bounce higher or off of.
And then we have
Ranger. The other new standard copy ability introduced to him
is Forgotten
Land.
Kirby with a gun.
Yes, and it is very fun. And you have Kirby. You can shoot. You just shoot pellets at your enemies, and when you dodge, you can fire a flurry of them at once. It's a very simple ability, but you can also aim and shoot at distant targets. It's if you have the accuracy for it, and that is used in some puzzles in that game. And it's just, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's a pretty simple ability, but it's super fun to use.
Then an S tier.
Then S tier, my favorite abilities in the whole series.
UFO.
UFO. UFO is from Kirby's Adventure, and the only ability from that game and to make it into S tier. Here, it lets you fly around freely. And has attacks that and its neutral attack is basically just beam, but it can charge up to get to also use the laser attack, as well as what's basically nowadays the fully charged plasma shot. And it also has really high damage output.
But
this
thing is usual, and in Robobot, this thing is obtained either through use of the Kirby amiibo,
or as a completion bonus for collecting the.
Or for 100%, it's a completion bonus.
For getting everything.
It's just 100% reward.
It's your 100% reward for for Planet Robobot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mhm.
Oh, and then there's Fighter.
Or Fighter is an awesome ability, and it just there are so many different like you have so many different abilities, different attacks with this thing. And you have punches, kicks, throws. You have a powerful uppercut, a downwards kick, spin kick. You can even you even have an energy blast directly inspired by Street Fighter's Hadouken, even and getting stronger if you use the Street Fighter input for it.
Yes. Yeah, it is also it is one big Street Fighter reference.
Yeah, the ability as a whole is a big Street Fighter reference, and I think that's super fun and clever.
Yeah. Or yeah, I think same goes for the uppercut.
Yeah.
For the Shoryuken.
Yeah, same goes for the Shoryuken.
But yeah, either way, it's just cool.
Yep.
Oh, and then there's
And then we move Ninja. Another superstar ability. It allows you to throw shuriken and kunai. Throw kunai. I dash at the opponent. And you have a counter attack. You can like grab and drop off the opponent, and a quad shock being its strongest attack. Hitting super hard, or if you're at close range. So it now also has a flower or an attack that summons its flowers around you.
Oh yeah.
Who introduced in Return to Dreamland, and it's a reskin of Water's rainbow attack. Stop going constantly.
Yeah.
So the next ability is Wing, also introduced it. Boosted Superstar. It's probably a weird one to see in S tier, but I just think Wing is super fun to use. Who's got a ton of mobility options, and even if the basic feather attack isn't very powerful, you also have stuff like the whole when you're next to an enemy, you could and knock it up into the air, but and do a spin. You also have the Condor dive. Which I think is the one where you... I don't know if that's the one where you go straight down or the one where you go diagonally down, but both of those attacks are cool. It's just a fun ability. He focused on aerial mobility. I rhymed. That's the third time I've rhymed those words today. And next is, oh boy... Smash Kirby.
Is this your reward for this is what you get for beating Master Hand or Crazy Hand?
In Amazing Mirror, if you fight Master Hand or Crazy Crazy Hand, you can get some you
get the Smash. I said Smash Kirby, which is Kirby's Smash Orange set, Smash move set.
Orange set. This isn't Pokemon.
Kirby's
Smash move set.
I think that's just. Though it's absolutely criminal that this was not in Kirby Fighters 2.
I know! That would have been so cool.
Criminal.
What have in that game.
It's the Kirby fighting game.
And it doesn't have Kirby's original fighting game appearance. And whatever.
But it's just a cool reference.
It's just a really cool reference, and of course, naturally, being a combination of several other abilities, can solve tons of puzzles and has tons of versatility. And honestly is my preferred ability in arenas when and it's available. As well as just for traveling, because it solves a lot of puzzles.
Yeah. Beetle,
my favorite Kirby ability ever. So I just love this ability a lot. It has a normal combo attack. A dash attack that you can change into a loop. You can grab enemies at close range and then and toss them around, and also do your other attacks to finish them off during that. And if you and any launched projectiles will do extra damage to bosses. It is making Beetle a surprise powerhouse. Like seriously. This ability is it can be insanely strong if you know how to use it. It has a spinning helicopter attack, and of course the downward slam. Your hovering is replaced with flying, and
Yeah.
and it's just a super powerful and fun ability. And honestly, I'm glad it's and it returned in Star Allies, and I hope to see it return in the next game as well. Hell, there's a reason this is one of the abilities voted as the most popular for Battle Royale.
Yeah. And then there's
and then finally we end off with a spin-off exclusive ability currently, which is a big shame. Wrestler Kirby. He from Kirby Fighters 2. Who there are just so many different moves here, and you're lots of nuance. They're fun to execute. Like seriously, this has the longest tutorial page of any ability.
Yeah, it's a very there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. I think this ability would flourish in a 3D environment too.
Yeah.
Considering wrestling is, it's not like a 2D sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I would adore to see this come to a main series game, and that is something that I really, really, really want to happen because.
Oh, you're talking about stuff you want to happen.
Because I really, really love this ability. Tomorrow, I will be discussing my most wanted abilities.
Is for the next game.
For the next Kirby game. Now, I still haven't fully decided whether I want it to be a top list or just me rambling about abilities I want to see in the next game.
Probably better if
I feel like it's just going to be sort of an unstructured video. A bit of an oddity in this event, but whatever. I think it'll be.
It's still a list.
It's still a list. Just even if it's not in line with any of the others this month.
Yeah, I gotta fill out that schedule.
Gotta fill out that schedule. So yeah, I very much look forward to this video.
I mean, yeah.
Coming tomorrow.
Hey, much shorter one.
And of course, this was a much shorter video, as expected.
Next 3 days might be even shorter.
But yeah.
That being said, I'm Nosren.
And I'm Amory.
And
bonjour, my wonderful viewers.